Hello and welcome to the Gambling Files podcast, the podcast that likes to say, ooh, way out of date because Halloween was ages ago. But we like to plough our own furrow here, and that's not a euphemism. I'm one of your hosts, John Bruford, joined by your other host, Fintan Costello. Fintan, hello.
Hello, John.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's nearly Christmas. I'm very excited.
Yes, we all are. I say we all. Probably not that excited in Russia because Christmas is later. Non-Christian religions, most of them probably like, oh, yeah, Christmas. Oh, well.
True.
Is Christmas a big deal in Ireland and Netherlands?
Probably not. Ireland would be the same as the UK, so yes. And then the Dutch have kind of two.
Sinterklaas.
You got Sinterklaas was the Pakisavond. Apologies to all the Dutch people, my bad Dutch. The Pakisavond happened on Tuesday, so that's you have the big meal, there's presents, there's all this kind of stuff. But it's a whole kind of month-long thing in November. So he arrives in the Netherlands with his helpers, and then the kids put out shoes outside every night, and then there's like little gifts and stuff left in their shoes every night. From the helpers, or it could be like little practical jokes or little riddles, all that kind of stuff. Could be. No, that's Spain. So Barcelona's got the caca thing they call it, which is this like log with a face painted on it.
Are you thinking of Mr. Hanky?
No, that's what it's based off
of. Oh.
Yeah, so Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo in South Park, is based off the Catalan Christmas caca or whatever they call it.
Howdy ho!
And so the kids have to beat the stick or beat the poo and like basically beat the presents out of it kind of thing. And there's this whole thing. Go Google it. It's a fascinating.
I'm not going to Google it because I don't know what's going to come up.
But if you walk around Barcelona, you'll see all these like those kind of touristy shops. Like they'll have the log, and then they'll have these like little figurines of like famous people having like pooing on a toilet kind of thing.
There's actually there's a famous I'm trying to think what country it's in. Might be Romania, might be Hungary, it's somewhere around there, where they have a mini, totally out of season. It's a bizarre thing. They have like a mini festival of citrus. So Google lemon party and see what comes up.
I'm not falling for that.
Damn it! So listen, I was listening to this podcast the other day, right?
Traitor.
And but this one was about horror movies.
Oh, okay.
It's a really excellent podcast. Sadly, it's no longer with us. But that's the beauty of podcast, Fintan. You and I are going to live forever.
Forever.
And this podcast, it was an interview with an Irish filmmaker whose name has completely left my head. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to find his name.
Now, is he really Irish, or are you just like...
No, he's really Irish. Okay. Lee Cronin.
That's a very Irish thing.
Now, so he's Irish, right? Do you know him?
No.
That's
Cousins.
Disappointing. Shit, Fintan, my phone's ringing. Hold on 1 sec. I'll just get it.
Okay.
Hello?
Lee Cronin is an Irish filmmaker. He first achieved recognition for his short horror
Hello,
film,
John from
Ghost
Henry
Train.
Edwards Fuels.
Oh, John hasn't put himself on mute.
Yes. Whitbatch. Yeah, it's the South Gate house on the Downton Hall estate. Yep, that's the one. Through the green gate. Wait, is it tomorrow? No, I went and bought 50 litres from TFM, but it's bloody expensive. That'd be amazing. Thank you. Cheers. Bye. Well, Fintan, you know our policy of not editing.
Yeah.
I'm leaving that call in. That was Henry Edwards Fuels. I think they were just calling me back again. That's weird. To confirm the address, because I ordered some fuel for Fern's house and the kids, so they can be warm this winter.
I thought it was our new sponsor.
Sadly not. We don't have a new sponsor, but sponsorships are available. So as I was listening to Lee Cronin, right? Lee Cronin, he directed the most recent Evil Dead movie.
I was just
Evil
reading his
Dead
biography.
Rise.
Yep.
Which is, it's fabulous. It's so much fun. Just so you're forewarned, in case you're ever tempted to watch it, though, a lot of people die.
Don't do horror movies, John.
And this is a very extreme. It's the first time I think I've really seen a cheese grater used in that way. It's an absolute. I mean, there's a scalping in the first 3 minutes. It really goes there. It doesn't fuck about.
Just straight in, no messing.
So, but it's on it. Beautifully made film. It's a lot of fun. He's done a really great job with it. But he's on this podcast, right? And he goes. They're talking about the Irish traditions of ghost stories and sharing stories, etc.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm not going to do the accent. He says, "Oh, well, every Irish person," just kidding. He says every Irish person has at least 3 ghost stories in their back pocket.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, you're Irish.
I can't get into it. But it would feel right. Maybe not 3, but everyone's got something for sure.
Okay. That means that you've got one.
It's not stuff I've experienced, but like stuff I've been told and all that kind of thing. But for me, I think it's the closest I get to any of that kind of stuff is like I've done a lot of like really early morning runs, so like, you know, before dawn kind of thing, and you realize in that kind of like dark, well, if you're out in the woods on your own kind of thing, your brain has a tendency to fill in the gaps of what it's seeing. So like I've been running towards stuff and I'm like, oh my God, there's a fucking wolf sitting in that ditch. I'm going to get eaten. And then as you get closer, the trees kind of come apart and you just realize it's not, it's just shadows. So I can totally appreciate where ghost stories, or I saw this in the trees, or so that kind of, you know, there's no street lights, you're out on your own. It is like your brain starts just filling stuff in. And then like things like foxes barking in the middle of the night sound like babies screaming and all this kind of stuff. So I can totally see where it comes from. And I've definitely had a few moments on a run where I've just had to like stop and take a moment. And that kind of stuff. But yeah, it makes, but like Halloween's like a big thing, like, or depending where you live, but like Halloween can be a big thing. There's a lot of Celtic traditions and stuff around that, and special cakes that you eat and stuff on Halloween. And how it's got a ring, and it's called a bran brack, and it's got a ring in it and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of traditions.
That Lee Cronin is a liar, and that
No,
you haven't got any ghost stories.
But like it's at the like, am I really Irish? Like I've lived outside of Ireland longer than I've lived in Ireland at this point. So like, am I really Irish? I don't know. I've got the accent, I've got the passport, but like,
you've got the hair.
I've got the hair. I don't know if the hair is such. I don't know if that's a cultural thing. I think it's just a head thing. But yeah, like, am I really Irish? I think is the real question. Like that's the.
Well, that's disappointing. Although,
I know.
speaking about
So
running in the woods, I remember being out in the woods one night and I had 2 hunterways with me. You know,
what's that?
fairly big dogs.
Oh, okay.
One of which is Farley, who's sitting over there, and I just remember just having a little bit of a scamper around, and the dogs would just bugger off and chase stuff because the woods at night. I mean, they just absolutely come alive. Very playful dogs. They weren't hunting. The hunterway has nothing to do with actual hunting. So they were just fucking off and chasing things and having a good old play. And they come back and they find me, and I'm easy to find because I'm wearing this silver head torch for trail running, which is the best head torch I've ever used, by none. Trail 4, if anybody's wondering. And we're trotting up this hill, and the dogs just stopped in front of me. Just stopped, both looking at the same spot, and they both just started growling. Now, people are always like, oh, do you think it's a bit scary in the woods? I'm like, I'm not going to meet anything in the woods that is scarier than me and those dogs. I mean, it's just not going to happen. When those two stopped and started growling, I'm just like, okay, let's not go over there. Because it's not going to be a fox, it's not going to be a badger, and it's not going to be a deer. So my thinking is it was probably an Irish person with some ghost stories.
And he didn't tell them to you either.
He didn't. I think it must be something to do with me. I think that's the problem.
I think you're ready for it, John. I think that's what it is.
Maybe. I did see one thing in the news this week, and I can't give much detail on this, all right? Because I'll probably get sued. But I keep seeing this story about the failed lottery bid from Richard Desmond, and that he's suing the Gambling Commission, or that he's trying to sue the Gambling Commission.
Oh yeah.
Now, I used to do some freelance work for his company, Northern Shell.
Yeah. Was this in the adult leisure entertainment business?
The adult leisure titles. It was some of them, yes. The less respectable end of that particular market, believe me.
I've got some big images of your hair.
It's nothing like the ones I saw, believe me. So, it's Northern Shell Tower is a big office building in Canary Wharf. Probably a very valuable piece of real estate, I'm sure. I was working on one floor. So you had all the adult titles kind of squished into one corner, because designers can work on multiple titles at the same time. In that kind of publication, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to lay it out. So there was a team of probably about 10 or 12 people producing a lot of publications. And next to them was a magazine called... Oh, man, I can't remember what it's called. Attitude, the gay publication.
Got it.
So that floor wasn't just divided into two. Behind a big locked door in a completely self-contained section was OK magazine. Now, you'll never see Attitude or the porn magazines mentioned in OK. And they poured loads and loads of money into OK. I mean, just poured it in there so that it compete with Hello, and Hello was a big deal at the time. Hello is not such a big deal now. OK is a bigger deal. So it kind of worked. But at that time, Mr. Desmond, who I've never met personally, I should say, it has been suggested that he tried to buy respectability. Tried to buy a title. He bought was it the Express Group newspapers? I think it was the Express Group. And yeah, just tried to become respectable, despite it being reasonably well known that he'd made the bulk of his money on phone sex lines and porn magazines. And And my good friend Al was famously the TV presenter, the sports presenter on his adult TV channel. He had some stories. My God, he had some stories.
That's the best job ever.
When I first moved to London, Al he'd bring his latest work home on a videotape. We'd basically just sit and drink and smoke pot and watch his output. It was extraordinary. They even did an election night special called, predictably, Erection Night Special.
Brilliant.
Including political commentary from models and all sorts, and some from David Dickey himself.
That's hilarious.
So, right, I must have told you this story before, right? I've told you the story of the Mayfair Sex Bus, haven't I?
Yeah, you've told that one before.
On the podcast?
Yeah, twice.
Okay. Well, twice. You can fuck off.
You have.
Richard Desmond was the recipient of the abuse from the Mayfair Sex Bus. The Mayfair Sex Bus was driving around Northern and Shell Tower shouting, "Come out, Desmond, come out." So whenever I see his name reported in these news stories, that's what pops into my head. That and a particular story about frozen fish fingers, which I will not tell on the podcast. Because I probably would get sued for that. We'll
save that for the live show.
Ooh,
tickets will be available soon.
Might as well get sued for that. Yeah, you're right. So, Fintan, who's our guest this week?
Our guest is a really interesting one. So I've read so much of his stuff for the last however long. I felt like I know him, but I've never spoken to the man before. So our guest is Mr. John Wright. CEO and co-founder of StatsDrone, not StatsDrone. StatsDrone. StatsDrone.com. That's StatsDrone.com. Which is a lovely piece of software that will aggregate all of your affiliate data into one dashboard. So if you've got hundreds of accounts or whatever it is, it will put everything into one dashboard and give you unified reporting. And we have a lovely chat about his software and about his business and his plans and state of affiliate reporting and all sorts.
Well, that sounds good.
I thought so.
That was a genuine throat clear, by the way. I wasn't saying it doesn't sound good.
You sure?
I'm positive.
No, he's lovely. He's a super smart guy. We had a great chat. Great chat afterwards as well, actually. And he's doing some really cool stuff. And there's lots of great stuff coming as well and what he's doing and kind of how they're approaching it.
Well, I was chatting to him afterwards on messaging on LinkedIn, and we're already talking about a return appearance in the new year.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. Speaking of return appearances, we're also talking to Sebastian Paris of premium sponsors BWise Media.
We are.
I mean, that'll probably happen in the new year.
Brilliant. And talking of sponsors, I've already booked 3 meetings for ICE.
No way.
And a lunch and a dinner.
Whoa.
It's filling up fast.
Shit.
Organize your ICE, people. Get your tickets.
Oh, fuck it. Oh, yeah, registration's open.
Registration is open.
A lot can happen between now and then, though. I'm going to leave it all till the last minute. Let's see who wins this.
Please don't leave it to the last minute if we need to do stuff.
I'm always prepared. Always prepared. I'm like Pegasus. Winging it.
Fucking mythical.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
imaginary. It turns out this is some Fight Club thing where I've been talking to myself for fucking 2 years.
That would be kind of weird.
You're my Tyler Durden.
if I were a fragment of your psyche, dear God, what does that say about your brain? Nothing good, Fintan.
Nothing good. That would be hilarious.
But seriously, speaking of our sponsors, we have the venerable BeWise Media for all of your it's kind of media buying needs, but particularly if you're doing anything in sportsbook.
You want to reach hard to reach audiences, global markets.
Yeah.
Exclusive
content partnerships. You know, and very
creative.
smart people.
Really smart people.
Sebastian has genuinely super impressed me the last couple of days. Not just because his LinkedIn content's as good as anything out there, but you know, when he emails, it's generally
very thorough.
You learn shit. That's what I mean. You learn things, and I love stuff like that.
It's been very good to us.
So our other sponsor is, of course, Clarion Gaming, organisers of the ICE Expo, which is in its last year in London.
It's going to be a big one.
Yeah, I think it really is. I do. And I'm looking forward to it, assuming I get to it. I'll get to it. It'll be fine.
You did this to me last year. You're like, oh, I don't know if I'll go, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and I didn't until I went.
And then I'm like, oh, Fintan, I'm here. Where are you? And I'm like, I'm not there. That's where I am.
Well, why would you do that?
I was somewhere.
Why would you be at ICE and not be at ICE? What are you, fucking Schrodinger's ICE attendee?
No, I set up base camp in Canary Wharf and do all my meetings there.
You were in Northern Shell Tower, weren't you?
Yeah, I was collecting my subscriptions.
Yeah. Oh, that looks good. Yeah.
Run through the back catalogues of Attitude.
Don't. God, I should probably feel some shame, but yeah, I paid my rent at the time.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. I heard some great jokes recently, but I can't remember any of them, so I'll try and look them up again. I'm a terrible podcast host. So, Fintan, let's go and meet John Wright, CEO and co-founder at StatsDrone.
Let's do it. Enjoy.
See how easy that was when I said it.
You're just great with words.
It's effortless. We're joined by, I think it's just this week's guest, Fintan. I think it's just one this week.
There is, because I forgot to reschedule the other one. So, yeah. It's just one this week. I know. I'm awful.
Well, let's hope he's good. There's no pressure.
I'm quietly confident on this week's guest. I think he'll be very good.
I'm from Canada, so sorry about that.
He's just sitting there praying.
And he's got a fancy podcasting microphone that's kind of going through the spectrum of colors as well. So you know it's going to be it's going to be legit. You know, this is the real deal now.
I feel like we're talking to MC Hammer in the late 1980s. I mean, that's probably what this was. Oh, Mr. T in the early 1980s. I mean,
I just need the parachute pants. That's all.
Oh,
yeah.
I wanted them so bad as a kid.
We've all been there, Fintan. Except when I was a kid, I would have filled the fuckers out. There would have been leggings.
Well, shortly after that was, back in Canada and America, the whole crisscross thing came about where people in high school were starting to wear their pants backwards. And it's like, okay, no. Parachute pants with MC Hammer, that was legit. Backwards pants, that's not right.
Yeah, it was crazy. What didn't they have a? Oh, Jump. That was their big song, wasn't it?
Mm.
I do have one tiny. It's not really a claim to fame as such, but there was a UK act called Credit to the Nation, and they had quite a big hit, and they sampled Nirvana's "Smells Like Teen Spirit." It's actually they did a really decent tune, and my band actually played on the same bill as them, just as that came out. And they were already committed to do their thing. So that's quite funny. We played at this town hall in Telford. And we were just a pub band. We were just there to have a good time for ourselves, regardless of what anybody watching us did. And we played right before them. And And we just went for it. We'd all had a few beers beforehand, and I had a whale of a time, and it was great. And I tell you, this is a true story, right? So this is the same night as Faith No More and L7 played on the same bill at the NEC, and it was £12.50 to go and see them. And I was gutted because it's the closest Faith No More ever played to where I live, right? And I was like, holy shit! Saw the date on the poster, and I'm like, we're playing that town hall that night. Oh no! So walking out on stage in the town hall, I just looked out at the crowd and I just went, "You do know you could be seeing fucking Faith No More tonight, don't you?" And amazingly, they stayed. But so everybody's up and dancing to us, and we finish, and these young gentlemen with their hip hoppery come on, and everybody sat down. Basically, I think everybody was there for a pub band.
Oh no!
Oh, how we laughed! But anyway, I digress.
No More for sure.
Oh, so good, so good. We are joined by Mr. John Wright, who is the CEO and co-founder of StatsDrone. Now, John, something I've wanted to ask you for a long time. Is StatsDrone droning about stats?
It should be. And at some conferences, this actually happened a few times. Had one person, get our card. Oh, you have drones. And when we say no, she's like, she just gave the card back. Like, all right, fine. If you don't want to at least have a chat about what we might be doing. But sadly, we don't do enough marketing about win a free drone or something like that. But we love drones.
Fintan knows a bit about marketing and stuff, and he'd be a good Fintan. Oh, Fintan, instead of the t-shirt cannon at ice, we could get a t-shirt dropping drone.
We could. We could have the mic. We could also have the microphone for the audience. So the drone kind of flies in, gives the microphone to the next person. And it's just buzzing really loud above them to hurry them up.
That won't annoy anybody.
No, it'd be perfect.
Not
right?
at all.
That'd be at the end of a long day at an expo. People would love that.
Yeah, getting buzzed.
Well, it's
Free
funny
flat tops.
at the ICE conference, when you walk in, you see the carpet, it's all purple, and our brand color is purple. So for the last couple of years, we've made jokes that we're the unofficial carpet sponsor, where we've actually had talks with them about going, okay, maybe we can do a sponsorship, but we just don't want the idea of people walking on the logo kind of thing.
That's true. Yeah.
But with purple, it's we can find a way to just kind of trick people into thinking that we are the carpet sponsor. It's something.
Especially, if I was a carpet sponsor, somebody would tread in dog shit or something, In fact, they'd tread in dog shit and they'd come in and they'd go to their mate, oh, did I tell you I can moonwalk? And they'd moonwalk their dog shit across the carpet. That's what would happen if I was the carpet sponsor. Wouldn't happen to you, John, because you seem nice. No. So, but you mentioned before we started recording that you're, in fact, Canadian. We love a good Canadian on this.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, we're mad for it. We've had so many great Canadians on, haven't we, Fintan?
I'd argue some of our best guests.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot to live up to then.
The caliber is very high from Canada.
Very, very high. And it's Canada is also America's finest garment in being its hat.
Yes.
So, couple of very quick Canada questions. Who is your favorite Canadian recording artist?
Oh.
What's your favorite Canadian movie? And who's your favorite Canadian?
Okay, that's a tough one. I'll start with the band, the Tragically Hip. They're probably one of the best known bands. The lead singer passed away, I think 5 years ago, but they had cult status, and they're probably more popular just in Canada. They did have some following in the US, but I think
are they like the Dave Matthews Band of Canada? Is it that kind of thing where just popular internally, but not externally? Okay.
Yeah. I would call them better. So yeah, they're just really popular in Canada, like cult status, and around the world. Yeah, they might play at festivals, but they're not the headlining act.
Sure.
Favorite Canadian movie? Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll give two answers to that. There's Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with John Candy. So he's obviously a old school famous Canadian. And one that isn't Canadian at all, but when we're talking about Canadians and being the hat of America, is I love anything by South Park, even the Team America, where they're constantly making fun of Canadians, but they do it in such a way that Canadians just love it because they know that they're just taking the piss. Like, it's just a total laugh. Whereas in a lot of American movies, the stereotypes, like, they're doing it as if it's real, but it's not real. And Canadians, like, we just look at this and go, this is brutal. Like, some of the worst stereotypes they're just there. And we even laugh at that as well. So we find them hilarious and endearing. But when South Park does it, we appreciate that. It's kind of like a compliment.
Yeah, it's like there was an Indian restaurant in Ludlow many years ago, and there was a guy who worked in there. He was a tiny little fellow. He was horrible to everybody. He was always quite nice to me, but he was horrible to pretty much everybody. And I heard a conversation about him that some friends of mine were having. One of them was like, I think he's fucking racist. And the other guy said, no, he hates everybody equally. And I think it's true of the South Park creators that, like, nobody is sacred to them. Yeah. And actually that counts for an awful lot. They're equal opportunity piss takers. And Team America World Police, especially the extended cut with the incredibly long sex sequence. It's just an extraordinary film.
And a lot of people don't know that in most of the places where you can watch that film, that long sequence is just totally censored. Like, you can't even find those parts on YouTube where, I looked for it to share it with people. I'm like, did you not see that part? And they're like, I had no idea that was even a part within that part.
I saw a version where, it's probably 3 times longer than the final cut.
Yeah. We won't describe what was.
It goes everywhere. It's phenomenal. Did you? And this is true, right? This is. It was on the extras of the DVD. They did like a making of thing. What they originally wanted to do was to remake the movie Armageddon, shot for shot, using puppets, because Armageddon is so hilariously bad. But of course, they couldn't do that for legal reasons. But I mean, that would have been amazing.
They should still do it. I mean, why not?
Yeah, who's going to sue him? Jerry Bruckheimer?
They have enough money. They'd get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, who has
Bruckheimer's got more?
Like, they don't even have Scientology properly going after them, and if they are, well, they've clearly not won.
They did lose Chef as a result, unfortunately.
Well, that wasn't really much of a loss. And the follow-up episode was hilarious, where they took all of his words and.
Yes, but he didn't appreciate the everybody's a target sentiment, and I love that, and I think that's what makes it special. There's literally nothing sacred in South Park, and that's part of what keeps it fresh. Okay. Never-ending list of targets for it. You could have any film by David Cronenberg, surely.
Don't know too many of his films, so.
Yeah,
there's some stuff where I don't know, and it's kind of like, all right, that's the embarrassed to be a Canadian for not knowing some stuff.
And so finally, your favorite Canadian.
Favorite Canadian? Ooh, there's always going to be tons of them. Definitely not going to list any prime ministers because you just can't win no matter who you pick. Rather than say the lead singer of Tragically Hip, Gord Downey. Maybe I'll go in the opposite direction. Sarah McLachlan. She's sort of well known globally for music, but most of her music was back in the 90s, and she's her one of her original albums. I forget the name of it, but back in 1992, that was a pretty good album.
Her name does ring a bell. There is a Canadian band that I've got a bit of love for, called the fantastically named Ass Machine. Not together anymore, but
I'm writing this down.
Sticky Henderson was the bass player in Ass Machine, and she went on to be in Weeping Tile with Sarah Harmer.
Okay.
And Sarah Harmer did, on her first solo album, she did a song called Lodestar, which is a really beautiful song. But that was originally a Weeping Tile song. And if you look on YouTube, Sticky Henderson uploaded the Weeping Tile version, and it is fucking magical. It's really beautiful. Sorry. I've exchanged emails with Sticky Henderson. So I'm totally starstruck. And she's just a regular person doing Sticky Henderson things. But also, I do follow some pretty niche shit here and there. And there's a couple of artists on Spotify where I'm their only follower. And the brilliant Sticky Henderson is one of them.
Did you get like your Spotify rap where like the artist like does a little video? It's literally just for you. Is that what we're saying?
It pretty much is. There are quite a few where there's like less than 50 followers, and I'm like, how's nobody heard of these people? Can't just be me, but apparently it is. So John, right? You don't do drones, and you don't drone on about stats. So what is StatsDrone?
Yeah, we've been trying to work on our messaging where I believe most affiliates don't know that our tools exist and our competitors' tools exist. Like we have one that's a competitor called Nifty Stats, and they brag that they've got 20,000 customers using their tool. And what we are, like this is what I like to describe is we're kind of like the QuickBooks for affiliates. We help pull all your data in from your affiliate programs. So if I were to ask, like if you're an affiliate and you work with 100 programs, how much money did you make this month or yesterday? And to log in and to get all that data is a lot of work. Maybe Fintan has experience with this where bigger companies will build these in-house stats apps themselves, but it's not fun. And we're starting to learn which big companies are struggling with this, just from the nature of them talking to us. So that's what we do. I didn't realize what project we were getting our hands into. Like, I just wanted to solve a pain point. Like, I didn't really have any aspirations of being a data scientist or going back to my engineering roots. But the more I started to look at this, the more I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of interesting. So, having a lot of fun with it. This is probably what I should have been doing from day one. But having all the experience of building affiliate sites and, you know, being like not good at SEO and, you know, losing to people like Fintan and everyone else just running laps around us, I'm like, well, I know what I'm good at and I know what I like and I know what I don't like. So the pain points of solving, like going back to the story of like why we wanted to build the stats up when there's a couple competitors on the market. I just remember times when, you know, affiliate programs would change their tracking links and I'd be like, okay, this sucks. And all of us affiliates would use some of these stats apps, but I'm like, this information needs to be in that same stats app where you should see your clicks go straight to zero. And not everyone's looking at data the way they should be doing. So I just wanted to, solve some pain points, and it might be bigger than what I realize.
It's a huge issue. It's a huge issue because I think for any affiliate, like even small affiliates, you're probably dealing with 50 brands, 20 to 50 brands easily. And then as you scale up, that becomes hundreds. And then obviously you've got like kind of the umbrella group that might have like 10 brands underneath it, or you've got like, okay, well, this is the UK reporting, but that's different to the Canadian reporting versus the whatever. So there's kind of the regionalization within the brands as well. So it kind of truncates out quite quickly. It rapidly becomes like potentially even thousands of accounts, or low thousands of accounts, which is impossible to manage from a day-to-day perspective of just, like you said, checking your numbers. Is the tracking working? How much did we make? Oh my God, this new brand suddenly doing well and we didn't expect that, or this big brand is suddenly crashed. What's going on there? So that visibility is absolutely vital to every affiliate who's serious about managing their business.
And just to add a bit of color to that as well, in the last 2 years, we've added 2,000 gambling affiliate programs into our app. We've closed 900 of them. So that's 900 programs with maybe an average of 1.5 to 2 brands per program. That's brands that are just offline. And think about how many people are linking out to those brands. I go into Ahrefs reports. I see this all the time. I look up a brand that I know is close and go, find me all the affiliate sites linking to it with the tracking link, and it's everywhere. The most popular one, and we're eventually going to get outside of gambling at some point, but the biggest one is FTX. They imploded last year.
Good point.
You can find the slug or the URL code. So it's ftx.com/referral ? So you put that into Ahrefs, and there's about 1,000 websites, domains linking out using that tracking link. And some of these websites, they're pretty, big sites. Like they're not like out of business sites that they haven't updated stuff in, 5 years. I mean, these are active websites still linking as if nothing's changed. So imagine all these clicks flowing through. You're ending up on like a U.S. Department of Justice page saying this brand is offline.
but that's the thing. But this is what happens, right? So you've missed the email from the platform saying that the brand's out of business. You've got a website that's got, or multiple websites that have got thousands of pages. So keeping on top of that is a full-time job as well. So it's a huge burden to manage, particularly when what you actually want to be doing is focusing on your core, like if you're an SEO affiliate or a paid media affiliate or a social media, like whatever your thing is that you're doing, that's what you want to be doing, because that's how you're going to grow your business. It's not the admin of managing links and pulling together your monthly report. So it's a massive pain point. And and it'd be great to get your, because obviously you work with so many different operators and all the different software suppliers and stuff as well. It still feels like, from a reporting perspective, that the affiliate software themselves is still, like, the amount that don't have APIs or don't have APIs enabled, the lack of two-factor authentication. It's just like the amount of, like, there's every week there's a story of somebody's affiliate account getting hacked and money being emptied and these kind of things. So just the lack of, given the amount of money that's flowing around the industry and the importance of affiliates to operators, the lack of sophistication when it actually comes to the software, and kind of it's 2023, nearly 2024, like, we should have the API, we should have real-time reporting, we should have 2FA enabled. Like, what do you think is just laziness, lack of resources? Like, what do you feel is the bottlenecks here?
It's a whole bunch of things. So we support 1,100 gambling affiliate programs. 550 are with API. We believe that maybe we might get to something like 80% API coverage in 2 years. And I believe for what we have to do is we have to take an extremely proactive approach. We have to educate affiliate managers. We have to educate operators. They need to hear from affiliates themselves saying, I won't, like, I've heard this from affiliates. They're like, I won't work with any brands that don't have API data, like straight up. And the more they hear these stories, the more they realize, okay, this is actually very true. I think specifically in gambling, our biggest problem is that there's been so much money being made by everyone that we are actually one of the least technically advanced industries that I've seen.
Agreed.
If you want to see advanced affiliate marketing, go anywhere but gambling. Go to Adult, go to Affiliate Summit, go to Affiliate World, and the conversations you hear there will just make you feel like, what am I doing? Like, I want to take these people and bring them into the gambling space to mess everything up and just watch the carnage happen. So I think it's a whole bunch of things. I think it's a lack of education, and I think it's going to take time. I believe what is maybe part of the problem, and I kind of need to be careful about what I say because it might get me in a bit of trouble, but I think there's a lot of affiliate managers that are the main decision makers of which software to use. And they're kind of like, what should I use? Like, should I go for the shiny box, or should I go for something that's got the biggest reputation and what's on the market? And I do think on the positive side that these affiliate software companies are getting very competitive. They're watching each other and going, what do we need to do? So from that point of view, I think things are improving. But there's some software that I think they need some work. We know what software needs work because we have to do the integrations for them, and we see
Sure.
we never meant to be consultants, but we're actively fixing problems and bugs of software, because what happens is customers say we're part of the problem, like we're buggy, that we go do our research and we find out that the API is actually missing a report because the API report was made 3 years ago and their current report was updated yesterday. This is where your inaccuracies happen.
Yeah.
And this is why you don't have standardization of data. So I think it'll change, but my job personally is to just try to help educate people and show what's happening. Like, we are planning to do a bit more marketing and go, what's behind every affiliate program? Like, do they have real-time data by the hour? Is it every 24 hours? What time zone do they have of their data? Do they have
Sure.
postbacks and dynamic variables? And by publishing more of this data, I think it's going to show, okay, affiliates do care about this, and they're going to care about it in different ways. And my job is to make sure that message gets to the affiliate manager and the operator, where it's like, this is important and this is what's changing, and to basically show maybe more of a new dashboard of going, for all those thousands of programs that we have supported, let's show the change of what software is on the market and why are they interesting. And
Yeah, because I think, like, the dynamic parameters or dynamic variables and APIs are just at this stage just an absolute necessity, because if you can't optimize in real time each page, each placement, see how much money you're making with this brand on a particular page, etc., like, you're just leaving so much money on the table. It's utterly ridiculous. And like you said, like, if you go talk to like just a random e-commerce affiliate in any industry, they've been doing this for like years. Like, this is just table stakes. Like, they wouldn't believe you if you told them.
yeah, they think we're more advanced because of how much money there is. And when they walk into the conference and they start having a few conversations, they're just shocked.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's, and the crazy thing is, like, for the smart operators, like, it's actually a huge competitive advantage.
Oh, big
So
time.
so it's such an easy, like, okay, boom, here's APIs, here's dynamic parameters. The affiliates that are making the best use of that are typically probably, they're just going to promote you more because they're getting better data, or they're going to optimize your campaigns better. Um, but it's just, it has to be a good thing for your business,
Yeah.
for everybody.
And personally, I see in the next 2 years, like, I look at this as more of an exciting opportunity. Like, imagine taking the small to mid-size affiliate market and going, there are tools that can help you optimize everything. And then imagine doing the same on the operator side to say, well, okay, if only the top 1 to 2% are actually doing the best practices, for, like, even looking at their own affiliate database and go, where can we, like, who's our best converting affiliate, not like the one that makes the most money, but the one that has like the best EPC, and to even monitor the changes of EPC. Like, EPC doesn't stay a flat line. Like, it
Sure.
can go up or down. And when it does, I believe most affiliate managers and programs don't even have that data. And the ones
No.
that do, the only way you know this is by either talking to them, or what I like to do is I like to look at company pages on LinkedIn and go, who's hiring people in business intelligence, data analysts, uh, data visualization. You can even throw in the AI keyword in there too, like data science, you name it. And it's starting to change, but I think what's going to happen is maybe a year from now, people are going to see those companies grow. And then once they see them, they're going to go, oh, we need to hire those people. Don't know why, but let's, here's a budget and let's make it happen. Let's start somewhere. So
But it can. But this is the thing. So, that they can make better use of their data, but by giving affiliates better data, the affiliates can optimize better too. Which then means, when it comes to, say, negotiations on commission structures and things like this, it's actually a far more accurate. So, in a way, you can, as an operator, you could probably negotiate better deals by giving, because if the affiliate's just kind of shooting in the dark in terms of how many clicks they're sending you and what's actually converting and what's working, and it's really hard for them to tell, then they have to charge you more, versus, like, okay, I know if I send this 1,000 clicks from this page, it's going to work.
yeah.
And
But
straight away, the commission structure will reflect that. It's such a no-brainer. I just don't. Yeah, it's like, why? It's bonkers.
let me take it a step back and put it into perspective by asking you, when was the last time an affiliate manager has approached you and said, we have a landing page that converts at 26% better than the link you're currently using. Would you like to swap it out?
Not in the gambling industry.
Yeah. So if it's never happened, that's shocking. And like, we're able to take the data in our own app, and we don't have this internally yet, but I've run it through Tableau, and I did my own report on 2 years worth of data. And literally, I had 2 campaigns that were the same sign up offer, but they had a different look, and one converted 5 times larger than the other one. And there was a substantial amount of traffic that was sent to both. So I kind of felt like I got kicked in the stomach, or kicked in the balls. Really, it was like, if I saw this in the first 2 months, not in 2 years, I probably would have swapped it with the tracking link. Because when I look at these landing pages, I like sharing them with people and saying, here's 2 landing pages. It's the same $31 no deposit bonus. Which one converts better and why? And the why, everyone gives their own answer. Oh, this one's better. This one. Some people have the right idea, but they don't always have what the right conclusive ideas.
Mm.
And at the end of this is really data. So we know that most affiliate programs, that if they're going to create a new landing page, we expect 90% of the time it's going to convert better. But there's so many ways in which this can actually go downhill. Like, someone forgets to put an actual CTA on the tracker, or like the call to action. Or sometimes the affiliate tracker is not there. So they're making all the money off the affiliates, but the affiliates are like, they're not even monitoring this. There's just so much room for opportunities. I think there's not enough people that focus on conversion rate optimization. And if you have the CRO mindset, you apply it to everything. Like, SEO is conversion rate optimization, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is, but it's also tough, because if you're the affiliate, you've got hundreds of operators who've got, so it's hundreds immediately. Then it's hundreds of affiliate managers you're dealing with. The second you start talking to them about landing pages, they're going to come back to, yeah, but are we going to get better exposure on your website? So it immediately becomes like some sort of like convoluted haggle.
Yeah.
And then realistically, from this perspective, most affiliate departments are under-resourced. So they've got to go beg, borrow, steal development and design resource to just get your logo on a landing page, just a co-branded landing page or something like that, right? Just the most basic kind of like, just get me a copy of that with our logo on it or our name or something on it. And when you've got to, and then multiply that by the few hundred affiliate managers. So it can be really, really, and then all of a sudden the offer changes, but the landing page has been updated, but they haven't told you. And then your website and the landing page are mismatched and all this kind of crazy stuff. So it's a really difficult, it's a really difficult one to sort out. And because you've got to have that conversation hundreds of times.
Yeah, absolute frustrating. And I think with the affiliate marketing and iGaming, what seems to be a reality, and I was talking to Clements from my affiliates, and she's like, she thinks the industry is going to get a little worse in terms of the affiliate managers coming on board before it gets better. And her opinion, which I kind of share the same sentiment, is that most of these affiliate managers coming into the industry that are new, because we simply don't have people with 10, 20 years experience, they all have a sales mindset. So they're using CRM tools to get a sale, but there's no concept of retention. And I think when you have that, it's, how it is. Everyone approaches you and says, I just simply want number one spot on the homepage. And if you've already sold that as a flat fee, then you're basically, they're all helping drive up the flat fees, which is going to benefit, pretty much like the mid-sized to larger affiliates. But
don't give away all the secrets, John. Don't give away all the secrets. Keep some of them. I'm only joking.
Again, sorry about that. But yeah, it's just so true. It's there's imagine you can focus on a landing page and improve your conversion rate by a factor of 2. So you can either do that, or you can double your affiliate managers and assume you're just going to get double the traffic. Doubling your traffic is way more work than doubling a conversion rate.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And I think like when you look at it from the affiliates perspective, so you've got, like you said, like I think it was nearly 50% of the programs closed, or whatever the stat was.
Yeah.
So when you get these cold approaches from platforms, the counterparty risk for the affiliate is, oh, we signed this lifetime revenue share deal, but realistically, you'll be out of business before I am. So there's a huge counterparty risk, which is very difficult for affiliates to manage, or they have to be very, very careful and build up that relationship. And then it's what am I trying to say here? It's, Yeah, like you're talking about like the intensity for like the top positions and stuff, but realistically, like the new programs just aren't getting those top positions because it's just too much of a risk. We onboard this brand, we stick them in the top position, and their conversion rates are shit, or it turns out they're shaving like crazy on the GGR to NGR calculations, or they're out of business in 3 months, or whatever it's going to be. So there is a real kind of, it's never been easier to launch never been easier to launch a gambling business. Doesn't mean you should. And if launching a gambling business and your marketing plan is we're going to use, the only line on your marketing plan is we're going to use affiliates, you should probably stop and have a big think. Because it's probably not sustainable for a brand new brand to only do that.
And the irony is that the programs that have low conversion rates also get accused of shaving, even if they're not doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
You just can't win.
You can't win. Now, look, so obviously smart affiliates will pump money through the system and do the calculations and see what comes out the other end. For sure, but there's also that kind of just it's the manual adjustment, or there's a lot of fraud this month, or so there's multiple ways to skin that cat. So we've had a bit of a bitch and moan in terms of like opportunities or optimism for the future. Like what's the big stuff that you're worrying about, or you're planning for your software, or what's coming next? Yeah. Where do you see the big opportunities?
You know what? It's kind of weird because I see it as more on the other side of the fence with the operator. So just coming back from the Sigma conference, like I've kind of seen some changes happening in the background, but I believe operators can optimize more of their revenue. And imagine we could actually share this information to say this operator cares about like investing in these parts of their business. And so if you actually knew that, then maybe you'd have confidence that they're not going to go to business, and then you could trust their rev share deals. So what I'm getting at is I heard of companies like Blackwood 7. I'm going to probably butcher a couple names here. I think it's Fieldway. People that do like a bit of AI stuff and they optimize player value. Another one is called Golden Whale. I had a chance to understand what they do. And I've told some of these companies, I said, if I wasn't working on this StatsDrone project right now, I literally would have gone into their project because I've got operator experience. And I remember trying to solve this pain point or problem of going, how do I take these players coming in from all channels and optimizing the hell out of them with the right email, the right offer to block bonus abuse and make sure that they're not destroying your ecosystem, and going, how do you just make this so it's either automated or you have real good data to get the best value out of it? And this goes full circle back to business intelligence, but I do think AI and CRM tools in conjunction with business intelligence, I think this is going to change quite a bit. I do believe the amount of value that can be extracted from the traffic coming in is, I think we're just early days. So if you think about what can be done for landing pages, and then once the traffic comes in, if you focus on that and go, we're going to optimize player value. We know what offer to send them. We're using tools like Greco to know that they're blocking bonus abuse. Like me as affiliate, I kind of want to care that I'm going to send traffic to these brands, because I know from your experience that when you send traffic to some of your best partners that have been around for a long time, you kind of know what the player value is. You know it from seeing your own commissions. So when someone comes to you and says, oh, we want this top spot, you automatically have a calculation of what it's going to cost them or overpay just to even compete. Yep. So we want to find ways of going, can we share this data with affiliates and going, here's a list of all of our affiliate programs. Now, it's not going to be easy, but could we share who's using Greco to show that they actually care about bonus abuse? And, we're not going to lose that brand to bonus abuse, which literally happens all the time. I mean, I come from a bonus abuse background, and it's, I don't want to say like I'm super proud of it, but I remember being parts of communities where, we'd see a new casino come up and we'd all hit them with bonuses. And then a month later they disappear and we're like, oops, this is reality. So I think it's exciting that, as much like what I try to teach affiliates is, you should focus on who gives you the best ROI for your traffic. Like that sounds basic as hell, but it's true. And what I believe most affiliates do, the top ones don't do this, but the small to mid-size can can be very guilty of this is they just look at who makes them the most money, and that becomes the number one placement. Or sometimes even worse, some programs will just say, we're going to give you 60% rev share. And then that ends up getting them the number one spot. And you're like, are you kidding me? I was an affiliate manager, and I would talk to affiliates and be, well, if you give me 65%, then there's no money to be made on 65%. And the other operator who's offering that to you, I believe personally they're shaving, so I just think I do think we can help affiliates with that, but I'm spending a bit more time talking to these new software companies that I'm hearing there's a lot of amazing results they're getting on optimizing player value. And to me, I really want to know which operators are doing that, because that kind of instills a bit of trust that they don't need to shave, and that if they are going to get the best player values, that's going to translate to like a victory for affiliates.
And look, I think this is a really good point. So I think historically for particularly the big operators, their back ends were such brands have been around forever. Their back ends are such a mess because it's 20 different pieces of software all sticky taped together to create some sort of functioning business. Where if you look at and the thing is, like, if you're using Blackwood, wherever the tool, or like Optimove would have been the one of the other tools, like things like what Optimove does is where I can analyze all your data and connect everything up and send the right messaging and do the right bits and pieces. Like, it's an absolute no-brainer if you can give it good data, if you can give it good normalized data, if you can give it real time. So the better your data structuring is, the better all of these tools will work. And I think for new operators and new platforms, it's 2023 and early 2024. Like, there's literally no excuse not to, like, if it's never been easier to launch a platform, but then there's literally no excuse not to have great data, great integrations, normalized, real time, a data warehouse, a data lake, or whatever you want, a fancy name you want to give it, but just like that you can pull it out into even just an Excel spreadsheet or something and run the stuff on it, and then do those real-time triggers, real-time messaging, and that kind of omni-channel PowerPoint slide that's been kicking around forever. Like, that's never been easier to do. Like, the reality of the world, I think, has caught up with that, where there's genuinely no excuse for not doing that, be it detecting bonus abuse, stepping in for the markers of harm for RG, real-time messaging, reactivation, loyal, whatever it is that you want to do. It's so much easier to do it now. And so, yeah, it's a really interesting, like, how would you, being that kind of like trying to surface that for affiliates, like, you've effectively got to sit down with them and like evaluate their business model, which is tricky, but it's a good data point. And I think that's such a interesting way of tackling, like, how do you bridge that counterparty risk and kind of say, well, actually, look, these guys have got our seal of approval in terms of they're using these kind of industry standard software, which will help prevent, means it's a better business, and if they're a better business, it's better for you too. And that's super interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited working on it, but what I've realized is that as much as people want all these amazing tools, I believe most people want a done-for-you solution. Like we've built, like, this is some of the stuff we have, and our users, my job is literally dragging them through a meeting so they can actually test this out. We have like this data trigger notifications, which I think affiliate programs should have, and I don't believe most of them have it. We can build you a trigger when you've got your first FTD, when you've reached 20 FTDs on a certain brand or a campaign, or if your effective rev share has dropped, which it never should, but if it does, then that's a signal that maybe your deal's not being honored anymore, or if your clicks has dropped below a certain threshold. I mean, we have to build the version of that that's automated. So we don't have that automated yet, but we've given affiliates the power for it. And as much as I get excited about these tools, I'm like, affiliate managers need the same thing. Because just imagine you're an operator or affiliate manager, and you might not realize that revenue could be down by whatever, or it could actually have increased by 5%. But maybe it's increased by 5%, which is good, but it's offset by the fact that your number one affiliate's EPC has dropped by like a significant amount. And why? You don't know. Like there could be a lot of stories behind it.
Yeah, and I think those kind of real time triggers are like when you say that, it's like, my God, that's such a no brainer.
Yeah, it's. I talk to people and they're excited. I'm like, okay, well, now I got to translate that into sales, and I got to translate into getting people to use that. So when they hear about it, they're like, oh, that would be a game changer. I'm like, well, if it's a game changer, here it is. Go ahead and use it. And so I believe that what we have to do is we have to do the done for you solution, and I think operators are going to need the same. These tools, you can literally build them all you want with Power BI. Like it's pretty standard today. And I think it's really the top 1% that are really doing these things. Same thing on the affiliate side.
Yeah, and so would your thing then kind of sit above? Because obviously, like if they're using a third party affiliate software, so you'd sit on top of that, or how does that work, or sit in between, or?
Yeah. If we were to build it, which I'm not saying we will or won't, I believe it needs to sit on top. So you have to imagine that most operators, when they have their affiliate program software, like the data is sort of being powered by API data. So they don't have excuse of not having access to their own data sets. They can get that all day long. So you just need to build something that would sit on top and says, I'm going to either work on the platform, whether it's NetRefer, Income Access, My Affiliates, Sell Expert, or it's just going to take the same data and put it off to the side and analyze it. Personally, I think they should analyze it off on the side where all of your data should be monitored. Like, here's your players coming from affiliates, from PPC, from SEO, from direct traffic, from type in. Like, you should care about all of that. Like, yeah, on the affiliate side, we'll definitely do that. But
I love it. I wonder how many actually do that,
I
percentage
believe it's
wise.
1% or less. And my only insight of why I think I might know this, and I'm not saying I definitely do, is, I'll chat with a certain company and I'll ask them very specifically, how many people are in your BI department and how much money do you spend per month or per year? And when they start giving out those answers, they give you a strong insight as to what they're doing. And you'd probably find this entertaining. Sometimes I talk to affiliate programs or the operators, and once I know that they invest in PPC, I say, this is kind of weird that the small percentage of the industry actually does this. And they're like, yeah, this is amazing. Like we have almost no competition and they're just like printing money. And they're like, great. Like they really don't want the other operators to understand how it works and what to do. Yes, it's a bit of work to set up, but it doesn't look overly complex. And I think most PPC affiliates, they love the space that they're in because no one's like, oh, I've got to use this S2S tracking tech, and you end up needing real time data, and that's the penalty for people not caring about real time. It's like, no, I don't need PPC anything, but I believe that's starting to change where the PPC affiliates, they're dragging operators to software companies like Volume, saying we need a postback integration and we can't send you a single click without postbacks. And it's like, well, how much money will that represent? And then they're like, well, here's a report of your competitor where we're sending 1,000 FTDs per month. Do you want this? Yes or no? Oh, we absolutely do. That's where things will change.
Yeah, it's look, the second it starts hitting the bottom line and they can make that internal business case right, it has to change. And then I think we've talked about it in loads of different areas in the industry is it's actually a very low innovation industry across the board, but really good at copying stuff that works. So it is that kind of classic, like getting that one or two kind of key brands to try this, get the results, and then before you know it, everybody's trying to kick down your door to get the same thing. And there's been so many like not just like in terms of this, but also things like product features, games, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on there for that. John, where can people find you on the social medias, and if they want to learn more and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the handle that I use that I try to keep consistent is always look right. as an RIGHT, not with the W. And I've copied that from spending a summer in London, and on the streets where it says "look right." So it's like always look right, always, because there's been a couple times where I'm from Canada and you're not used to things, and it's like if you don't pay attention, you can easily get hit by a bus, and that's almost happened once. So always look right. I'm John Wright, and unfortunately, that's a very common name. So if you search for me, there are at least one other person in our industry who's got the same John Wright. So look for me, and if we see that we're connections in common, there's a chance that it might be me, but it could be the other John Wright.
There's only one Fintan Costello.
That's true.
There's not. I've got a nemesis. Uh-oh. He's a computer science lecturer at Trinity College in Dublin. So he's getting all these like amazing like university backlinks. So to rank for my name, like literally you couldn't have picked like the worst career to have to try and outrank somebody for. But yeah, we've an ongoing battle. My favorite one was when my picture was showing up against his academic journals.
Oh.
That was great. Took a screenshot, sent to my mum.
I was going to say, no, look, Mum, it's mine. Can't fake this.
Brilliant. And the website is StatsDrone.com.
Yes.
People want to check that out, book a demo, kick the tires, see how much money they could be making or saving or optimizing.
All of it. Save time, make more money.
Exactly. Brilliant, John. Or both. Why not?
Maybe.
Brilliant, John. Thank you so much for your time today.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Peace out. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Gambling Files podcast, please find us on LinkedIn. Give us a big, juicy, succulent like. That nearly went wrong. You can find us under the name The Gambling Files Podcast. You can find us on Twitter under The Gambling Files. I think the handle is just @GamblingFiles. You can connect to myself, John Bruford, or Fintan Costello, also on LinkedIn. We're also both on Twitter. And you can find all of our previous episodes at www.thegamblingfiles.com. If you enjoyed it, please share, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your colleagues, and we'll see you next time.